Okay, it is officially time for this A to Z mini rework. My thoughts, ideas, changes, so on and so forth. We are finally on Kha'Zix The Voidreaver. Damage physical, obvious. Style, mostly abilities. This is true. Yeah, this is true. Difficulty 2, also true. I don't really agree with this one. Damage 3, mobility 2. I'd put him at crowd control 2 as well. Now, I know this is probably a little bit less strong than what it was before, because before, like, his W would always slow, but then, I guess it's because he doesn't have any hard CC, which I'll give him that, but, like, his W, after you evolve it, has, like, an 80% slow, and that is very high. Like, that is honestly way too high for an assassin with, like, a ranged ability like that can hit multiple targets. That's a bit too much. The void grows, the void adapts, and one of its mired spawn are these truths more apparent than Kha'Zix. Evolution drives the core of his mutating horror, born to survive and to slay the strong. Where it struggles to do so, it grows new, more effective ways to counter and kill its prey. Initially a mindless beast, Kha'Zix's intelligence has developed as much as its form. Now the creature plans out its hunts and even utilizes the visceral terror it engenders in its victims? What? Okay, then. Okay. Unseen threat. When Kha'Zix is not visible to the enemy team, he gains unseen threat, causing his next basic attack against an enemy champion to deal bonus magic damage and slow? When the fuck did they make that change? I guess it's just because I haven't seen Kha'Zix in so long. It has been very, very long since I've seen a Kha'Zix, and this is probably why. Like, the last time I remember seeing a Kha'Zix, at least I believe so, he still had his old passive, when it was like, oh yeah, if you're not around others, which was very useless in team fights. Well, like, good team fights. But, like, there are a lot of times in team fights where it was still good, though, because you'd be slightly separated, or if one person went off a little bit too far, you'd be surprised how easy it was to proc his passive before. But now, he literally just needs to go unseen? Huh. I guess it doesn't seem that bad, but that's going to make his, like, normal jungle clear harder. I guess that's why he doesn't do as well. Like, it synergizes really well with his ult, but that's about it. I don't think that's really that great. Okay, his Q. Taste their fear. I wouldn't really have called that ability that, but sure. Deals physical damage to the target. Damage increased on isolated targets. Oh, so they just threw his passive on anyway. If he chooses to evolve Reaper Claws, it refunds a % of its cooldown against isolated targets. Kha'Zix also gains increased range on his basic attacks and Tate. Okay, so evolving that is now a must. At one point, evolving his Q was actually not something that you'd always do, because evolving his other abilities gave more benefits and your Q still hurt. But now, that's basically guaranteed. It increases his attack range, which will help with his passive. Not only that, but, like, if they're isolated, it'll then cause them to refund the cooldown. He could spam that stuff, plus mix in auto attacks in between hand, which will help with his passive. W, which is as slow that I was talking about this guy. Kha'Zix fires exploding spikes that deal physical damage to enemies hit. Kha'Zix is healed if he is also within the explosion radius. Okay, they messed with that a little bit. If he chooses to evolve Spike Racks, interesting. Void Spike now fires 3 spikes in a cone, slows enemies hit, and reveals enemy champions hit for 2 seconds. Isolated targets are slowed for extra. Okay, maybe I'm also thinking of that slowed for extra then. I like how they just applied his old passive to his entire kit. just gave him a little bit of a benefit for things being isolated. Yeah, but like that slow is big, especially if you're isolated. You will not think about it. But yeah, I'm pretty sure before it always just healed, but I could be wrong about that one to be truthful. Kha'Zix is not a champion that I'm super knowledgeable about. Leap. Kha'Zix leaps to an area dealing physical damage upon landing. If he chooses to evolve wings, Leap's range increases by 200 and the cooldown resists on champion kill or assist. Okay, so it gains a bigger... Okay. Honestly, it's actually kind of difficult now to decide what you'd evolve. Huh. Q. Void Assault. Each rank allows Kha'Zix to evolve one of his abilities, giving it a unique additional effect. When affected, Kha'Zix becomes invisible, targeting unseen threat and increasing movement speed. Oh, triggering unseen threat. If he chooses to evolve Adaptive Cloak, Void Assault gains increased invisibility duration and an additional use. If he chooses to evolve, Void Assault gains increased invisibility duration, so it's just longer, and in an additional use. It also doesn't talk about how he turns invisible when he walks into bushes. That was overpowered when they first did that. That was ridiculous. Okay, honestly, I understand why he isn't really picked all that much, but to be truthful, I really don't see him as that bad of a champion. I would say that he really doesn't have the same type of damage that he had before, though, especially because they keep changing assassin items, and in my opinion, most assassins really aren't all that great right now, but there are a select few, but still. It's just, it's just very interesting with his kit, is the best way I can describe it. Like, he's really not huge on auto attacks, and honestly, more than anything else, he uses his Q. But, like, his Q is good and all, but, I don't know how else to describe it. Like, each of his things are good, and evolved, they're even better. It's really, you have to kind of build him more as a bruiser than anything else to be 100% effective, but that's just kind of the way it works. His passive definitely helps because, you know, like the increased damage, especially because that's really only with his ult, though. That is really only with his ult. Besides that, I would say that his passive was, like, mediocre until 6. Like, I would definitely see it being used here and there, like maybe he walks out of bush, ease over, and then he auto-attacks, and that'll proc it, but I don't know how long that will last before he needs to do an auto-attack, and so on and so forth. His W, like, the healing... I'm pretty sure I would make that heal always his W. I don't really think that it needs to only be later on. I would make that heal always whenever it hits anything. It heals. Not for anything huge, but still. So yeah, if anything, I'd maybe make his passive the fact that he turns invisible from, like, walking through a bush, and when he does it, his next auto attack does slight increased damage. I can see that being slightly overpowered, though, but at the same time, that's what his ult literally does anyway once he evolves it, and that will really help the majority of his kit, because it'll just make him pretty useful. So honestly, I'd give him more of a buff than anything else. I don't want to see him go back to how he was way back, because then he was just broken, and he'd literally jump on, murder someone in half a second, jump to the next, murder someone in half a second, jump to the next, and murder someone in half a second. You're like, what could I have done? Like, he just jumped to me and murdered me before I could do anything, and it's just like, well, that's just the way the world works. Like, no. So I don't want him to go back, so nothing big. As I said, the only changes I would make is I'd make his base passive the passive that goes on his ult, where walking into a bush and, like, staying in the bush for a second or something will turn you invisible. So I basically would turn it into a Teemo passive. but then the next auto attack after leaving the bush up for like a certain amount of time will damage the target, but it won't slow. I can agree with that one, but it like maybe it will slow if the invisibility that he gained is from his ult or something like that. Or maybe we can add that to his ult where like each auto attack after turning invisible from your ult has a slowing effect on it. And then I just make it so that his W does always heal him no matter what. It's like, honestly, now I kind of want to play some Kha'Zix. But that's really all I do. I would only buff his passive, his W, and slightly change his R. And I wouldn't even touch his E or his Q, because honestly, they're fine. They're fine just the way they are. Okay, let's go to his skins. We got base Kha'Zix, which is honestly very nice. I actually really like his base skin. There's Mecha Kha'Zix, which honestly, I think of Mecha's like quality standards, it's still a good skin, but I really wouldn't say it's as good as a lot of the other Mecha skins. Like, not gonna lie. I don't know why. I genuinely just, like, I fully don't understand why I don't like the skin. But at the same time, I think it's cool, but I don't think it's great. The Guardian of the Sand skin, I actually really like this skin. I think that it just looks really good. Mixed, like, the bandages mixed with his skin, mixed with the golden armor, mixed with, like, all of it is just nice. It's just really nice in my opinion. Then we have Death Blossom, which is just yet again like a really nice skin. It is a good skin in my opinion. This one, like, it just flows well. Dark Star Kha'Zix is very cool. It's just yet again like Kha'Zix has some really good skins. Like, honestly, he just does. I don't like the fact that, like, in this skin, he really doesn't have the spikes coming out of his shoulders that he does in other skins. But I can live without it, but I really wish that he did have the spikes still. And then we have Championship. It's just a good skin. It's a championship skin. A championship skin. There you go. English. It's gonna be good. It's gonna be good no matter what. It's just a good skin. So, in ratings, I'd honestly put Mecha Kha'Zix at the bottom. I have to. Like, it's not really that great, as I said. Like, I think it just needs a bit of a makeover and it'd do great. And, honestly, I'd put it... I'd change it up a little bit, but not a huge amount. I'd honestly put the Dark Star, no, the Guardians of the Sands next, then Guardian, then Death Blossom, and then the best being Championship. Like, come on, it's just good. Yeah, I do this one like a 4 out of 10, 6 out of 10, 7, 8, and just a solid 10. Just nice skin, good work, nice blade, and just the aspects of it are just very nice and very good. Honestly, this skin would jump right up if it didn't have the spikes. Or if it had the spikes on it, this skin would jump up to... It'd literally be the exact order. It'd go, this is the best, or this is the worst, this, then this, then this, then this, then this. All the way to the top. Like, first, second, third, fourth, and fifth would be the exact order of his skins only getting better. But I think this one is just slightly better because I just like the way that it just flows really nice. And even though that it doesn't look as cool... In a sense, it just seems more... I don't know how to describe it. It just seems like it fits the theme better. Of, like, the Death Blossom over this. Like, this... It just doesn't feel like it fully fits the theme. That it, like, does 99% of the way. But this one is, like, 100% the theme. And this one is, like, it's just missing that little bit. Which would definitely be those fucking spikes. And then I think it'd be great. But, yeah, that was Kha'Zix. I'm actually... Like, this one really wasn't that long. I do wish that Kha'Zix was kind of better. At one point, he was ridiculously overpowered, and it wasn't fun to play against him at all. But then in another, like, he's, like, as he is now, where he's not really good at all. He just kind of exists. And... I don't really know what to say besides that. He just, like, he exists in the game and he's not that great. But, you know, that's just how the meta works. It annoys me how there are champions that are just completely useless and other ones that are just overpowered. But, meta. But with that, I am going to... no, I will not. I'm going to say, like, if you agree or disagree with anything that I have said, please leave it down in the comments down below. I will gladly respond to whatever you have to say, unless it's something stupid. If you have any ideas, either for Kha'Zix or another champion, leave it down below, and I will gladly get back to that as well. I'm all for constructive criticism and so on and so forth, so yeah. And now, since I jumped the gun earlier, thank you all very much for watching this video, and I will bid you all adieu. Goodbye.